Perfect. Okay. So we're going to start seated. You could sit up on a blanket or you could sit on a block if you have one. You can listen to my voice and follow along with whatever Lisa and Amanda do for class today. But yes, if you are watching this and not here in real time, you'll want 2 blocks and a blanket if you have them, or like block-like things. You can always pause the video and get them later. So we're just going to start in a meditative seat. So once you sit up tall, then you can just let your arms completely relax on your legs and let your eyes come to a close. And then just notice how you're feeling. We're starting meditating, William. And notice how each part of your body is feeling as you're sitting in this seat. Are there parts that might be feeling a little tense? Everything feel nice and loose? Anything cramping? Can you feel any pulses anywhere? Something feel numb? Just notice. You can take a few wiggles to really just let everything settle. Letting gravity just be the thing that's keeping you upright, sitting on the floor. And then to begin, we'll just take a breath all together. So you can leave your hands wherever they are and just exhale all your air out on empty. And we'll take one big inhale through the nose. Really fill up all the way. And then big sigh, exhale out the mouth. Come back to your normal breath. Begin to notice where your breath is going. Is it mainly in your chest, or are you guiding it all the way to your low belly to reach the full capacity of your lungs? And on your next inhale, you can just gently open your eyes. So feel free to do as much of class today that you want with your eyes closed, if that's something you want to explore. But you're going to find your right fingertips on the outside of your right hip, and you're going to lift your left arm up and over and just take a nice side bend to the right. As if you're waking up for the first time. You can gaze up underneath your left armpit. Just notice how your body feels. Immediately going inward, how you feel in this side stretch, pressing down with your left hip. Coming back through center, lift up and over, place your left fingertips on the ground, lift your right arm up and over. Gazing up underneath your arm, really pressing down with your left hip, right hip. You're really rooting down through both sides of your hips. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale. And then let yourself come back through center. Have both arms reach up to the sky. Imagine that you're reaching for something up above you. And then let yourself just fold forward over your legs. Yeah. So you can walk yourself out, but still really think about rooting down through both sits bones, as if someone's pressing you down. You're rooted down into the ground. And then your upper body is like a branch on a tree. That's just coming out from the trunk. On your next inhale, lift your head up and out a little bit, and then walk your hands up and over to the right. Yeah, I feel like typically we do this in a child's pose, but we're going rogue today. You can come up onto your fingertips if you want to get a little bit more leverage of stretching. And then begin to walk your hands all the way up and over to the left. So rooting down through both hips. You can shake out your head, yes and no. Really relaxing every muscle in your face. You're not holding any tension anywhere. We're just bending over. Walk your hands back to center. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, begin to walk yourself back up. And then you can move the blanket, if you're sitting on one, to the side off your yoga mat. And then you're gonna find your feet together. So you're still bending your knees or your feet are together. And then just give your hips and legs a little bit of a wiggle just to set yourself up. You're pressing down through both sits bones again. Yeah, perfect. And then we'll just take a few rocks forward and back from your feet together. Then you're gonna straighten out your legs, try to bend a little bit more forward, and then find your feet together. So just beginning to feel the mobility in your hips. You can grab for your feet or your ankles at any point. Try not to have your hands on the ground. Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot to send the playlist after I had Kara check. So after we do this, we have a playlist break. Take a few more. Just noticing how you have this leverage in your legs. And then the next time you land with your feet forward, toes face up to the sky, feet are both flexed. You have a slight bend in your knees. You're leaning kind of forward on your hips so that your sits bones are pressing down, sitting up super tall, and then you can gently walk yourself forward. And if you're pregnant, you can widen your feet a little bit even more so you have more space for your belly to go down. And your feet should be at hips width distance anyway, so you can measure that out. Yeah, and then let your head completely drop. Really let it relax. Putting the playlist in the chat. That's the wrong thing. And just shake it all out. Feel free to take a nice big sigh here. You could even rock a little bit right and left on your legs. Yeah, just beginning to open up the backs of the hamstrings. Gently begin to walk yourself back up. Give your legs a little bit of a shake. And then cross the weird leg that doesn't feel normal to sit in. So for me, that's crossing my left leg, left shin in front of my right. Cool. Now we'll do the same side stretch that we did in the beginning. So left fingertips come down on the floor on the left side of your left hip, and then reach your right arm up and over. So just notice what it's like to sit in this opposite way. Probably feels weird. Does it feel weird? Yeah. But it's good for us to try new things. If you do this every day, it won't feel weird after like a month. Take one more inhale, and as you exhale, arc up and over to the other side. Right hand comes down, left fingertips, reach over, really reach for something across the room. Take one more inhale, and then come back through center. Just give your shoulders a little bit of a shake and a roll. And you can roll your head to the right one time, roll it to the left one time. And then once you've gotten a little bit of those fidgets out, you can roll over your shins and come into an all fours position. Cool. So set yourself up. Knees are at hip width distance. Tops of the feet are pressing down. You can widen your knees slightly, Lisa. Yeah. And then tops of the feet on the ground. And immediately we're going to flip our wrists here. So you're going to flip your right wrist around 180 degrees and your left wrist around 180 degrees. Keep that slight bend in your elbows and widen your hands out a smidge. Yeah, just so then you really have more space for your chest to move through. And then we'll take our cats and cows from here. So you're going to inhale as you arch and exhale as you round. And then take this on your own breath, however you're feeling today. If you want to speed it up and create some heat, you can go fast. Just notice what's happening with each hand. You want to feel each part of each finger and your entire palm pressing down so you have equal pressure on all parts of your hand. And you can find that slight bend in your elbows so you're not locking them out. And then imagine that you're pulling your elbows away from one another. change what speed you're going. Yeah, nice. Giving us some dynamics. And keep going for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to center. Just flip your left hand around the normal way. And then begin to take circles with your hips to the right or whichever direction. Notice what your head is doing. Try to look down and out in front of you, or you can also circle it around, shake it right to left, do whatever you want to relax your head and your neck. So we're not holding any tension there. And you can always close your eyes. And just notice what it's like to move through space without being able to see. Can't look where you're going. Just gotta trust your instincts. And circle the other way. Nice, going as far forward and back as you want to. Still looking down and out at like the edge of your yoga mat if you're not circling your head also. Come back to center and switch which wrist is flipped. So turn back the right one and flip the left one. Yeah. And then take circles in the direction of your choice. Cool. Still thinking about what your shins and your feet are doing. All 10 toes are pressing down. You can even feel your pinky pressing down onto the mat to give you an anchor to do all these circles. Take one more this way and then go in the other direction. Yeah. And see if you can make one circle super small and then one circle super big, like test out what it feels like to do them in different ranges of motion. Take a few more. Making sure we spend almost equal time on both sides. I feel like sometimes on the second side it's less time. I don't know what psychology that is. Psychology of time. Okay, come back to center and find both hands the normal way. If you need to give them a little wiggle, feel free, but try not to like do a full shake out. And then from there, your hands will come about a palm turn in front of where they are, and we'll come into our first down dog. So in this down dog, take all the time you want to move it around. Take any movement that you want. You can lift a leg, you can lift an arm, you can come on top of your feet, you can move your feet to the side, you can widen your feet, you can bring your feet together, you can shake an arm, you can shake out your head again. Yeah. And then come forward to a plank pose. If you're pregnant, you can put your knees down when we come to a plank. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Cool. And then keep taking some pedals, really walk it out. Finding those nice bends in your knees. Notice how your hands are pressing down and try to have your armpits wrap in towards your heart. And then begin to find some stillness. So find that nice bend in your knees. And then bend your knees and stick your butt up. So nice. Imagine someone's pulling your hips back. So there's more weight in your feet. That's why our knees are bent and we're sticking our butt up than there is in our hands. But that's very hard to do. So it's okay if that's not happening. Take one more breath. And then gently on your next inhale, just simply step your right foot to your right thumb. So we're coming into our first lunge. I recommend grabbing blocks just for fun. So you can find a block on either side of your foot, so one under each hand. And then we're gonna take a flow that I feel like I typically do. So you're gonna place your back knee down, untuck the toes, Bring your hips back to come into a runner stretch. And then come back into your low lunge. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee and straighten both legs. And then come back into your low lunge. So you can match each movement to an inhale and an exhale. Inhale coming back, exhale lunge, inhale straighten, exhale lunge. And then just find your own breath. It's okay if you're not moving at the same speed as the person next to you. All of our bodies are different, so our breath is different. Really getting into those hamstrings again. Still looking down and yeah, that's great. Down and out as you're doing this. So we have the idea of moving forward into our potential instead of looking backward at what's behind us. My yoga teacher always says, there's nothing interesting about your crotch, so don't look at it in yoga class. She's a firecracker. I love her. Take one more round. And then we'll all meet in a low lunge. And then you can once again just give your upper body a little wiggle as you're in this lunge and just notice how it feels to be here. Your right knee is right on top of your right ankle. And then we'll tuck our toes, lift our knee, and step your left foot up to meet your right. So you're in a forward fold. Feet are at least hip width distance, so you can move those blocks around. You can measure out what the hip width distance is by putting 2 fists in between your arches and then bend your knees and let your head completely drop. Yeah. So it's like there's a weight just dangling from your head, allowing it to come to the floor. And Hannah knew what we were doing. You're going to grab for opposite elbow, or just opposite elbow. I don't know why I always have next to opposite here. And then you can sway from right to left. Beautiful. Notice how you're hanging on each foot, pressing down. Amazing. And then giving our legs a little bit of fire and heat. You're going to begin to bend even more into your knees. And we're going to lift our torsos up, just our torso. So we come into a chair pose with opposite elbows. Yeah. And then bend your knees. You can look down at your feet. Make sure you can see your toes. The weight should be slightly more in your heels, but your knees are tracking over each toe. Really grab for your elbow points. Good. And then bend your knees a little bit more. Lift your torso up, 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 up. And then you can come up to stand. Whew. And then let your arms drop. Give yourself a little wiggle and a shake. Let that all go. Find your feet right underneath your hips. So you're finding your hip width distance. Reach your arms up to the sky. Then you're going to grab for your left wrist with your right hand and then reach up and over to the right. Yeah, I know you can't see Lisa and Hannah's heads, but all good. And even as you're there, you can try to press down more in the front of your right foot and your right heel might lift up and that'll let you go more over to the right. Right heel lifts up. Rights and lefts are so hard. Inhale, one more. Exhale, let it go. Come back through center, switch your grip. Left hand grabs your right wrist and then reach up and over to the left. Yeah. So we're just getting our side bodies open a little bit more. One more breath here. As you exhale, come back through center. Let your arms just dribble down. Inhale, lift your arms up, press palms together overhead. Exhale, forward fold over your legs. Inhale, place your hands on your shins, extend your spine. Exhale, forward fold over your legs. And then begin to step yourself back to your downward facing dog. From here, it's your choice today. You can come to a tuck-toed up dog. You can do a chaturanga. You can stay in your down dog. Just do whatever feels good. Then we'll all meet in our downward facing dog. Beautiful. Take one inhale in this dog. And one exhale, yeah. On your next inhale, step your left foot forward to your left thumb. Find your blocks again. It's just better with blocks. Life's better with blocks. And then, oops, you're gonna place your back knee down, untuck the toes, get yourself situated, and then inhale back. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, both legs straighten, exhale, lunge. Taking this at your own time, and feel free to pause too at any point that feels good. If one of the places that you're in feels like the best sensation ever, then stay there. And as you lift up both legs, when you straighten both legs, imagine that your heel is pressed up against a wall. So that lifts your butt up, and then will give you a better stretch in your hamstring. Because if your heel is sinking down, then your butt is sinking down, and we all want perky lifted butts, not saggy butts. Cool. Really good breath to movement, keeping that effort and consciousness. Feel free to close your eyes too, if you didn't try that yet. And then take one more full round. And we'll all meet in our low lunge, where you give yourself a little bit more wiggles again. Just finding your left knee on top of your left ankle. And then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and hop, hop. Step your whichever foot up to meet the other one. Yeah. And then find your hip width distance, and then maybe go a little bit wider. Find that slight bend in your knees, even if your hands can touch the floor. And then grab for opposite elbow. So similarly, how we had the opposite shin in front on the ground, we'll have the opposite elbow on top here. So then we'll give you more space in your butt bones too. Like all of this, you just spread and be open, and then your low back too will then have more space. Nice. Really relax your head. Take a few sways right to left. Oh, nice, guys. Really let your head completely drop, Henry. And then find yourself back in center, keeping your torso over your legs. Just bend your knees, and that'll make your torso come up a little bit. Then continue just to bring your torso up. Find your chair pose with your opposite elbows. You can look down if you need. Take one more cycle of breath here. And then begin to just let your legs straighten, let your arms fall, and then you can shake out your legs. Same little stretch. We'll start with the other side first. Lift up both arms, grab for your left wrist, grab for your right wrist with your left hand, and then reach up and over to the left. Great. Really rooting down to that right hip. So you have a lot of space to move. Finding your breath, breathing into the side body as you open it. Lifting up over a beach ball. And then come back through center, switch the grip, and come up and over to the right. Beautiful. You can also see what it's like to close your eyes here. Notice. You can have that slight bend in your knees too this whole time, so you aren't locking out your knees. You have leverage to be able to jump away from anything at all times. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, come back through center, let your arms drop. And this time you're gonna widen your feet so they get to be as wide as your mat. So if that means moving the blocks or something, but your toes are still parallel and you're both facing forward. Find that slight bend in your knees, and then just let your torso drop over your legs. And then once you're there, you can have that bend in your knees and just rock from right and left. So you'll find more of a bend in one side to the other. Just notice what this feels like in your hips and in your butt. Probably already feel it a little bit. You can shake out your head, yes and no. And then find your right knee a little bit more bent. Left leg is also kind of bent, but not really. Then you're going to walk your fingertips up and over to the left. It's the same thing that we did on the ground, but you should really feel it right underneath like your shoulder blade and your armpit area. Let your head completely drop, close your eyes here, relax. You can rock a little. Hips are still square. You can walk your hands out a little bit more forward in front of you. Yeah. So it's like you kind of have down dog arms. And then we'll move to the other side. So switch the bend in the knee. Walk your arms forward and out, and then up and over to the right. Yeah. Nice. So both sits bones, it's like they're pressing up against the wall. So they would evenly have pressure. Beautiful. Really good breath. Still noticing how your body's feeling, where your breath is going, even as we continue moving. And then come back through center. Let your hand just come and then step yourself back to your downward facing dog. Cool. Take your up dog or down dog or whatever you want to do. And then on your next inhale, you're going to lift your right leg up to the sky. On your down dog split, hips stay super square. And then step your right foot to your right pinky. Yeah. From here, you can place your back knee down. Find your blocks again if you can. And then this time, you're just going to take some circles right to left with your hips. Yeah. And then as you're doing that, see if you can bring your hips back towards your heels. So it's like we're doing a runner stretch just on a different part of your hamstring. So you can make this movement yours. So you can close your eyes and just take these circles and rock forward and back. Gaze is still down and out. Yeah. And take some circles in the other direction if you didn't already. Cool. And then come back through center, find your low lunge, find your right hand on the inside of your right foot. If it isn't, it can still stay on your block. Yeah, if you're using your blocks, we're just gonna come into like a lizard for a second. So you can set yourself up whatever way you want your blocks. And then you can stay there and just breathe. Or if you want to put your forearms down on the blocks, you can do that too, depending on how flexible you are and how much sensation you want today. If your fingertips or hands are just down, and just breathe, press your left hip a little bit forward. Your right knee is still tracking over your right toes. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then this is gonna be kind of tricky, but if you're on your block, you're gonna move the block over to the outside of your right foot and then heel toe your right foot to your left thumb. Yeah. And you're gonna tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, pulling your right hip back, begin to straighten both legs. So hands can still stay on your blocks. Yeah. Really good. Take one cycle of breath here. As you exhale, bend into your right knee and then step your left foot behind your right so that you come into a cross-legged forward fold. So your knees are kissing one another. Try to get your feet also as wide as your hips. It's very hard. And bend into both knees if you can. Wrapping the right hip forward a little bit more. Shake out your head. And then slowly, slowly begin to roll yourself up, finding your balance here in this cross-legged forward or cross-legged stance. Ow, my head. Roll your shoulders back once you get to the top. Imagine that you're pulling your left hip forward. You can try to guide it a little bit more forward with your hands. And then you can undo that, give your legs a little bit of a shake. Cool. One more time. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, and make your way back to your downward facing dog. Cool, cool, cool. Take your up dog, your down dog, your chaturanga, or just stay there, whatever feels good. On your next inhale, lift your left leg up, down dog split. Such nice square hips. Exhale, step your left foot outside your left pinky. Cool. And your left toes can kind of be turned out a little bit. They don't need to be completely straight forward. Back knee comes down, untuck the toes. Grab your blocks if you want them, or if you want to do it on fingertips, that's cool too. And then take those circles and movement any different direction. Just making sure you get enough movement so that your left leg comes a little bit straight as you bring your hips back towards your right heel. So just getting that full range of motion. Circling it around, pretending you're dancing. Notice where you're looking. You want long necks. Hannah and Lisa get to look at my bed. It's very nice. I made it today. Never make my bed. Anyway, bend back into your left foot, knee. Hands are on the inside of your left foot if they aren't already. And then you'll stay in your lizard pose. So left toes can turn out even a little bit more. Stay on your hands or come down to your forearms. Just making sure that your back stays super long. Yeah, but your head can still be relaxed and dropped, but these look really good. Shoulders are down away from the ears. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then come back up onto your hands on blocks or whatever. Move the left hand on the outside of the left foot now. Heel toe your left foot over to your right hand. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, begin to straighten both legs. Yeah, and the back heel stays super lifted still. So as if it was up against a wall. So that lifts your butt up and makes it better for your back to stay long. Yeah. One more inhale. One more exhale. Then back into your left knee and then hoof your right leg behind your left. So now we're in this nice cross-legged forward fold again. See if you can find a hip width-ish distance. Take out your head, let it all go. And then slowly, slowly begin to roll yourself up, finding your balance. You can also try closing your eyes here. Feels weird. Right hip wraps a little bit more forward. And then you can let that go. Cool. Okay. So now we're going to do some thing at the wall, which is also going to get into our legs a little bit. So what I'm going to ask of all of us is to move our mat so that the short edge is up against a wall. Perfect. And then you're going to need the blanket. I can set this up on Lisa or Hannah's mat. I'm just going to move this back, Hannah, so you can understand the video. Cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your blanket, and you can have it folded like just enough so it's actually going to like protect your knee from being on the ground. It's nice to have padding. And then you're going to set it up right up against the wall. I think you've done this before. Maybe not. First time for everything. This is a Katona Yoga wall series, and it's really going to get into our hamstrings and our quads and our hips. So get excited. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to find your two blocks. And I can just show this, and then Lisa or Hannah, I'll show it on your mat, Hannah, and then Lisa can get into it. You can get into it after. So I always use my blocks just because, like, I don't know, it just makes life easier. You're going to find your left toe, the left top of your left foot on the ground, And try to get your shin and your knee as close to the wall as possible. If you have super tight quads, this is going to be excruciating, but wonderful at the same time. So then you're going to find your right knee once again on top of your right ankle. So you're just in this like weird lunge position, and then press your hips forward. And this is where we're going to start. And then we'll cry, laugh. It'll be great.
Okay.
Cool. We're just going to do a few like lunge variations. And if at any point it feels like too much, you can just then find your knee a little bit further away from the wall. But to start, if you can, try to get your knee flush up against the wall. Yeah. So left knee, right knee is right on top of right ankle. We'll do the easier way over here. And then just press your hips forward. Lisa gave me a death glare. And really make sure that you're, I think you can move this. Oh no, this is good. Yes. Just right knee is is tracking over your toes. And then breathe. Henry looks so regal at this camera angle. He's like, I hate this. Great. Think of something wonderful to distract you. I could think of some story, but I'm not feeling very creative right now. Great. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to add some twists onto this. So if you're pregnant, hold on a second. If you're not pregnant, from here, you're going to take your left hand up off the block and find your left elbow on the outside of your right knee. Wrap your left hand with your right hand and then twist open to the right. Yeah, and great job, Henry. If the wall, you want to put your hand on the wall, we do that all the time as like a slightly lesser version of this, and that's perfectly great. For you, Hannah, you can just stay here, or you can just do an open twist, which is what we're going to do next. So you can just stay here, maybe. We won't be here that long. Just breathe. Really getting into this quad. It's going to feel so nice afterwards. You're going to have new legs. Take one more inhale, one more exhale. Come back to center, both hands on blocks. You can give yourself a little hip thrust forward or something to give yourself a break. And then from there, you're going to have your hand down on your right block. And then just lift your left arm up to the sky. I know, it's hard. It's so hard. Lisa looks like she's gonna kill me. You'll feel so great afterwards, I promise. If there was something to do every day, it would be this, but that is not something I expect of anyone. So yeah, that's life. Cool. One more breath. Really straighten that hand, look up at it. And then find it on the block. Then once again, you're gonna find your right hand on the inside with your block of your right foot. Heel toe your right foot out so that it comes to a lizard foot where your heel is on the mat, your toes are off the mat, and your toes turned out. And then press your hips forward and come into your lizard. And you can walk your right foot a little bit more forward if that ends up feeling more comfortable for you. Yeah, I think really good. Back is super long. My yoga teacher typically makes us stay in these for much longer, so you're welcome. Take one more inhale, and one more exhale. And then you can bring your hands up. And then bring your blocks a little bit out in front of where they are, because the next thing you're going to do is just wiggle your right foot over to the left side and place it down for a pigeon. Yeah, yeah. And then press your hips down to the ground if you can. And if you want to, well, this is awkward, but if you have a friend that can grab you another blanket, then you can put another blanket underneath your hips. We can make Isabel do that, Henry. or you can just stay there and like there will be space, and that's totally fine. I'll be right back. If anyone ever asks why I have so many blankets in my apartment, it is purely for this reason. It's always good. I'll give you a blanket. It's always good to use blankets. There's no shame or anything in using props. Props make yoga better. It means we're intelligently listening to our bodies and noticing when we need to modify something to make it work for us. And we'll stay here for a little bit longer just because, yeah. And Lisa did put a block underneath her chest and her forehead is on another block. So if you want to set that up, you can. Really nice. Relax your shoulders. Yeah, you can just let them come out into that diamond shape. Breathing into your hip. Releasing any tension this Sunday before we start our week again next week. Next week, tomorrow. Whoa. Take one more cycle of breath. See if you can press your hips down a little bit more if your name is Lisa. And then gently, gently, as slow as you can, you're going to bring yourself up out of this. And you're going to sit onto your right hip. So it's actually great if you now have double blankets. You can sit up on that double blanket. Yeah, so you just have to gently remove your knee from the wall. Yeah. And then we're going to, oh, don't care. I think that was me. Whatever it is. This has happened before. And then we're going to come into ankle to knee. So that's why it's always really nice to have a bunch of blankets up under your butt, because then it'll allow you to sit forward. Yeah. So you can choose which blankets you want. And then this one will come like straight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Which is why it's good to sit up on more, because you don't want to be leaning back. You want to be sitting up forward. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Like that. Make this one. Yeah, it's okay. And then flex both feet. And then you have your blocks here to put your hands on and do whatever feels good. So Henry, you're probably sitting up on one or two blankets, and then right angle, right angle. And then you can also cry here. Just kidding. Crying is very good though. It just releases emotions and energy. It's never a bad reason to cry. I mean, it probably is, but then at least you'll pass the emotions. Okay. If you want to bend forward, you can. And aren't you so happy we have to do this all on the other side? Lisa's like, I'm out. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. And then you can, that's okay. It's just because your hips are tight. You can straighten your legs and then just give them a little shake on the ground. Over time, Lisa, your knee will touch your ankle. And then similar to how you did in the beginning, just bend over your leg. You can be super jello-y and loose. It doesn't need to be formal. And just shake out your head, shake out your arms. You can keep shaking your legs. And then we'll do the left side. Everyone is thrilled. Oh my God, it's 45 minutes. I think I also did something on the wall. Great. Okay. So now now the right knee is going to come up right up against the wall. Yeah, you can move off the extra blankets and just keep them handy for pigeon. Yeah, so find your knee as close to the wall as you can get it. Find your butt as close to your foot as you can get it. Yeah, that's a way to do it too. Use the blocks. It's easier because putting your hands on the blocks for the setup is easier because you have much more space. Lisa, you can do it. Yeah. Lisa says she feels like she's 100 years old. Well, if you did this every day, you'd feel like you're 20. Nice. Try to smile. Press your hips forward. Shoulders down and back. Lisa's smile looks like that grimace emoji. Henry looks pleasant. And just breathe. Enjoy the stretch on your thigh. Imagine that you're on a beach and there's warm air blowing past you, allowing your thighs to loosen up and not be in pain or just not having super sensation. It should be a good pain. Like it should feel like, oh, I'm getting a nice stretch in my thigh. But if it feels like it's out, this is terrible, then you can come out of it a little bit. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. And then we'll take the twist. If you're everyone but Hannah. Then you're gonna find your right elbow on the outside of your left knee. Have your hand come on top of your right hand and then twist open to the left. And it's okay if you fall too. All good. Really good. See if as you're twisting, you could almost look up to the sky too. Beautiful. One more inhale. One more exhale. Find your hands back on those blocks. Left hand comes on left block, and then reach your right arm off to the sky. Yeah, hips pressing forward. So we have a nice crescendo in our spines. So good. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then place your right hand down. Find your left hand on the inside of your left foot. Heel toe your left foot over to the left side. Find it on its diagonal. And then press yourself into your lizard. Press. Find. Someone would yell at me for saying the word press. And breathe and smile again. So good. Good job having your knees track over your toes. You can see if you can find that connection between your left shoulder and your left knee. So it's kind of like hugging in, you're super compact. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Press your hands back down on your blocks if you went to your forearms. Put them a little bit in front of your left foot. And then wiggle your left foot over to the right side of your mat to set up for your pigeon variation. Automatically gonna give peeps blankets. Great. Yeah. And this side might feel even harder. And that's okay. Lisa hates me so much. I'm never going to see her again after this. And then press your hips down. Really let everything try to relax here. So it's just gravity is pressing down on your hips. And it's allowing you to just melt into the floor like a melting popsicle on a sidewalk. There's no tension in that melting popsicle. There's no tension here. We'll try to find less tension. Really relaxing those shoulders. Notice if you're holding any tension in your eyebrows or anything, maybe your fingers or your toes. Come back to being able to scan your body and having that inward view, introspection, as we call it. To know how it's feeling and be able to listen to it. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then as slow as you can to come out of it, you'll maneuver yourself back up, you'll move the knee off to the side, you'll come sit up on your pile of blankets so that both sits bones are pressing down, and then this time your left knee, the left shin will be at a 90-degree angle as like half a triangle on the ground, and then your right shin and ankle will come on top of it. So your ankle's right on top of your knee. Yeah. And you're gonna flex both feet. Everyone's face. Smile again, find your blocks, and then you can walk yourself as far forward as you want to. Don't even need to go forward at all. If you want to stay up, sitting up super tall, that's great too. Good. Knowing that after this, you'll get to lie down for a few minutes. Embrace all of the effort that you did. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then walk yourself back up, and you can shake your legs out again. Whatever you need to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then you're gonna lie down just with your blocks handy at, just with your blocks near your hands so that you can do something with them after. Yeah, and we're coming into a resting pose for a little bit. So if, however you wanna get comfortable, do that now. And then you're gonna find your feet together. Your knees are gonna open, but you're gonna put your blocks underneath your thighs. Yeah, so that we have a supported, what's it called? Supta Baddha Konasana. Yeah, so your blocks can be like that. So we get a nice hip opening. It's not super overstretched. And really set yourself up to relax while we be here for a few minutes. You can let your eyes close, let your arms relax. Once again, notice if you're holding any tension anywhere in your fingers, your toes, your nose. Just really deepen your breath here. Taking a mental scan of everything you've done in the past hour, all the work that you put in. And now you get to rest. And as thoughts come up, just let them pass. Don't dwell on them. Just let them pass like a car passing you on the highway. Begin to come back to where you are in space, what room you're in, what you're near. Then begin to bring some wiggles back into your fingers and your arms. And then you can use your arms to bring your knees together and just let the blocks fall. Then you can roll over onto whichever side feels more comfortable to come into a fetal position. Taking one breath here. Keeping your eyes closed to come up to sit. And I press down and sit cross-legged or intrasana, facing whichever direction feels good. Closing your eyes. Starting or ending just how we started. Sitting and very present of how our body is feeling. With our breath, with our mind. We'll take another breath all together. So find your breath on empty. Then we'll take a big inhale through the nose. Hold it at the top. And then big sigh, let everything go. Whatever that you want to let go from the past hour, it's over. Breathe it out. Come back to your normal breath. We'll find our hands together at the center of our chest, coming into a prayer. Taking a moment to honor all the work that you did, giving yourself gratitude for taking the time. Giving gratitude to being able to practice together. We'll bring our thumb knuckles up to third eye center in between your eyebrows, and then practice with a final bow. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah.